Hi friends, welcome to SBK English Academy. In today's class, we will discuss Modern English Poetry Part 3. Images Moment, EZRA Pound, T.S. Eliot, and the great modern poem and epic that is T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. I am Said Vasappa, teacher at Government Adarsh Vidyalaya Baswan Bagyavadi, Vijaypura district, Karnataka state. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, share, comment, and forward to your friends as possible as. See, every year's question paper, there is a question on Imagists movement or Ezra Pound, T.S. Eliot and his poems or on his dramas. Now we are studying T.S. Eliot as a poet in this video. So already we discussed T.S. Eliot as a modern critic. Now in the next coming video, we will discuss T.S. Eliot as a modern dramatist. See, Ezra Pound and Imagist movement. See, in the modern poetry, Ezra Pound had his own place. He influenced greatly the modern poets. So he is the dominating figure of Imagist movement. See, the Imagist rejected the sentiment and discursiveness typical of romantic and Victorian tradition. So this is the one of the characteristics of Imagist movement. The Imagist poets reacted against the Georgian poetry, which was criticized as facile and loose, appealing to the layman and not to the intellectual. See, this reaction is represented by a group of poets who called themselves Imagists, for their aim was to represent real life images that were clear, precise, and exact. The founder of this school is T. Hulme, who lived between 1833 and 1907, and his most illustrious disciple, Ezra Pound, insisted that poetry should restrict itself to the world pursued by the senses and the presentation of its themes in a succession of consigns clearly visualize concrete images accurate in detail and precise in significance. So according to Ezra Pound, this is the definition of poetry. So the founder of Imagist movement is T.E. Hulme. Ezra Pound, Edith Sitwell are the two major original prominent poets of this school, means Imagist school of poetry. The other important poets of Imagist movement are Pound H.D., John Maddox Ford, William Carlos Williams, F.S. Flint. So these are the other important poets of the modern Imagist movement. So we discussed Imagist poetry characteristics and who was the founder of Imagist movement and the other poets of this Imagist movement. So this school centered in London with members from Great Britain, Ireland, and United Kingdom. See, now look at the major modern poet that is Ezra Pound. He was also the dominating figure of Imagist movement. See, he was born in 1885 in a small two-story house in Haley, Idaho Territory. He was an American poet, critic, and scholar who devoted his life to enriching civilization by producing good literature. According to him, the bane of modern civilization is its craze for money. See, he lived in England, France, Italy, Spain, and China and produced excellent translations of Provencal, French, Latin, Italian, and Chinese poets. He was a leader of modern poetry. He propounded the Imagist theory and brought out his Imagist anthology in 1914. See, anthology means collection of poems. So, about some other information about Ezra Pound. See, he wrote, means Ezra Pound wrote Usura, the title of Cantos or verse chapters, which is his greatest work, running to 800 pages. He condemns the commercialization of art. His poetry is individual in its combination of lyricism and common speech. He supported T.S. Eliot and he edited The Westland. You have to remember, T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland was edited by Ezra Pound. So the first draft of Wasteland was in big size, in a large size. So that T.S. Eliot gave that draft to his close friend Ezra Pound. The person Ezra Pound who decreased the size of that book and also carefully edited this wasteland. So that's why for this effort T.S. Eliot dedicated wasteland to his friend Ezra Pound. Remember about this point. He was the leader of the Imagist group of poetry. He was an expatriate American poet and critic, a major figure in the early modernist poetry movement, and a fascist sympathizer. See, now we have to look at the works of Ezra Pound. See, Reposts, which was published in 1912, Hugh Selwyn Moberly, very important work of Ezra Pound, which was published in 1920. Remember this work. Another one important is the Cantos. The name of the book is Cantos. This is an unfinished work or incompleted work, 120 sections epic. This, the Cantos, is considered of 120 sections. It is regarded as an epic, but this book is not completed. See, the another one work, the Pisson Cantos, which was published in 1948, he won the Bollingen Prize in 1949 by the Liberty of Congress for this work. See, now another dominating figure, the main important member of Imagist group of poetry or Imagist movement is Edith Sitwell. See, Edith Sitwell was born in 1887 at Scarborough, North Riding of Yorkshire, England. She was a British poet and critic and the eldest of the three literary Sitwells. With a dramatic style and exotic costumes, she was sometimes labeled a poser, but her work was praised for its solid techniques and painstaking craftsmanship. See, works of Edith Sitwell. See, Clown's Houses, which was published in 1918. Mother and Other Poems, which published in 1918. The Wooden Pegasus, published in 1920. So these are the three important works of Edith Sitwell. So, other works, see, Pocket, Sleeping Beauty, Street Songs, Green Song and Poems, The Song of the Gold, The Canticle of Rose, The Outcast. So these are also other works of Sitwell. So now we have to look at T.S. Eliot, the most important poet, critic, and also the dramatist of the 20th century or the modern age. See, already we discussed T.S. Eliot as a more critic. Now I am discussing T.S. Eliot as a poet, not as a dramatist. So, in the next video, I will be discussing T.S. Eliot as a dramatist. So, T.S. Eliot was born on 28 September 1888 at St. Louis, Missouri, United States, and died on January 4, 1965, at the age of 76 in London, England. So, see, both Ezra Pound and T.S. Eliot are close friends. These are originally from United States, America, but they migrated from America to England and they got the citizenship of England and they settled here. See, he was a great American born British poet, essayist, playwright, publisher, and mainly critic. The world remembers T.S. Eliot today also as a great critic and poet. He had the citizenship of both countries, USA and UK, United States of America and United Kingdoms. See, he was educated at Harvard University and Morton College, Oxford. He was a prominent poet of the modern movement of poetry. He was awarded, see, T.S. Eliot was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1948 and Order of Merit in 1948 also. So remember, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1948. He was the director of the publishing firm of Faber and Faber and held that office till his death. He said to himself, T.S. Eliot said to himself, he was a classicist in literature, royalist in politics, and Anglo Catholic in religion. Remember this quotation or this statement? This statement was asked in the previous both KSET and UGC net question paper. Remember this point. See, the works of T.S. Eliot, or see, Prufrock and Other Observations, which was published in 1917. See, the first volume of Eliot's presents a picture of the sordid and bored life of London during the years of the First World War. The poem Love Song of Alfred, Mr. Alfred J. Prufrock is a dramatic monologue in which Mr. Prufrock unloads his mind to his own suppressed self, the you of the poem. See, next is the Westland, the great modern poetry, the most important poetry written by T.S. Eliot. We discuss this later in detail, separately. It was published in 1922. Remember the date of uh, the Westland's publication, 1922. It was asked in the previous question paper. See, next work is that is Hollow Men, published in 1925. See, Hollow Men remembers about the gunpowder plot. See, gunpowder plot to blow up means to blast the houses of the parliament in the reign of James I. It is a fragmentary means incomplete work. So the Hollow Man deals or remembers about the gunpowder plot, huh, in England. So next important work that is Ash Wednesday, which was published in 1930. So it is the first day of Lent, which lasts 40 days ending with Easter. This period is spent by devout Christians in fading and penitence in commemoration. Commemoration means commemoration, memory of Christ's 40 days in the wilderness. Very important poem. See, next collection of poems is aerial poems, which was published in 1927-30. It includes the famous poem, The Journey of Magi. The other works, minor work, The Chorus from The Rock, Four Quartets, which was published in 1935-42. So we have to discuss the Westland in detail because it is very important poems for the exam point of view. There is a question in every year's question paper about this Westland. So Westland was written by T.S. Eliot, you know already that it was published in 1922. Remember this publication date. See in detail about that Westland poem. It is regarded as the modern epic. The Wasteland is the most widely translated and studied English language poem of the 20th century. No other poem was translated and studied as the Wasteland. The protagonist of this poem is Thiasias. Thiasias. Hero of this poem. The main character of this poem is Thiasias' legend. It is the most famous poem of Eliot's as well as the obscurest in the English language. In this poem, Eliot focus on the sterility of modern culture and its lack of tradition and ritual. The first draft of the poem, the first draft of the Westland poem was brought to its present form by Eliot's close friend and poet Ezra Pound because the first draft was large in size, so that Ezra Pound, the close friend of T.S. Eliot, edited the poem The Wasteland. This question was asked: who edited The Wasteland? Ezra Pound edited The Wasteland. So that's why T.S. Eliot dedicated his Wasteland poem to his close friend, that is Ezra Pound. See, while writing this, Eliot was greatly influenced by two books. When that T.S. Eliot wrote The Wasteland, he was greatly influenced by two great books. What are those two great books? Jessie I. Weston's Ritual to Romance. And the latter means the second work is Sir James Frazer's The Golden Bough. So these two, Ritual to Romance and The Golden Bough, influenced on the mind of T.S. Eliot greatly. So these two works inspired or tempted T.S. Eliot to write his great poem Wasteland. See, it has the legend of Fisher King who built his kingdom in an infertile wasteland, and other legends are. What are the other legends are included in the poem? Grey legend, the legend of Oedipus, the legend of Perseus. The theme of the poem of Wasteland is lust and its deadly consequences. So it depicts the modern life of the people of London, materialistic life. The starting line of this poem is April is the cruelest month. The ending line of this poem is Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So this question was asked in the previous both cassette and net question papers. Be careful about the first line and the last line. April is the cruelest month is the first line. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti is the last line of the Westland poem. See, this poem is dedicated to EZRA Pound. This question was also asked in the previous question paper. The term Il miglior fabbro is a praise or a word means the better craftsman's as a mark of gratitude to Pound's efforts. So this praise Il miglior fabbro is a praise given to Ezra Pound by T.S. Eliot because of that Ezra Pound's great efforts, who edited his work, The Wasteland. In order to give gratitude to Pound, that T.S. Eliot used this term. The meaning of this term is the better craftsman. The epigraph of this poem is in Latin and Greek. This epigraph is taken from Satiriacon by Petronius Arbiter. So every point is very important for the exam point of view. See, this present poem, that the wasteland is consisted of five sections or five parts. So what are these parts? See, the first part is burial of the dead. Second is the game of chess. And third, C. First is the burial of the dead. So once in the question paper, these five sections were asked to arrange in a sequential order, which is the first, which is the second, third, fourth, and the fifth. This was asked in the previous question paper. You have to remember the five sections of the Wasteland poem in a sequential order. So now I am showing in a sequential order. See, the burial of the dead is the first section. Second section is the game of chess. You have to remember one point about the second section, game of chess. So this game of chess title is taken from a Jacobean play, Women Beware Women by Thomas Middleton. This question may be asked. Next section, the fire sermon. See, the fire sermon is the longest section among all these five sections and the most complex one. The title, the fire sermon, is taken from Buddha's fire sermon. See, the fourth section, death by water, death by water is the shortest section of the wasteland. The fire sermon is the longest section and the death by water is the shortest section. This question may be asked. Remember about this. Which is the longest section? Which is the shortest section? See, the last section of the poem is what the thunder said. So you have to remember the burial of the dead, the game of chess, the fire sermon, the death by water, what the thunder said in a sequential order. See, some more points about the wasteland. See, the last part 5, what the thunder said, consists of three commandments, obedience to which will regenerate mankind. So there are three words from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. See, this question was asked in the previous question paper. So, what are those three commandments? See, Datta, Dayakvam, and Dhammeka. These words are in Sanskrit language. The meaning of these Sanskrit words. What are the meaning of these three Sanskrit words? See, meaning respectively, chronologically. Datta means giving, Dayakvam means mercy, and Dhammeka means self control. Remember these words meaning. So, this is the information about the modern two great poets, Ezra Pound and his Imagist movement, and also that T.S. Eliot and his works, especially the more information about his great important poem that is Westland. So, you have to read these two works very carefully, and also you have to make your own notes that will help to you while going to the examination. So thank you for watching this video. Share and my video and also comment on this. Suggest me for the improvement of the subject of this